Why do you need so much time alone? The comparison that most people, 80%, are four-wheelers. They're all-terrain vehicles, and they can just go and continue going, and on one trail, on the next, you're ready to go again. Yes, yes, yes. We are more like Formula Ones. We need more time adjusting and tweaking and regulating our engines, and that means that we need more time in the garage. And it is absurd to blame a vehicle, a person, for not being able to do what another one can do that were designed for a different purpose. It's a little bit like blaming somebody who says they can't take their Tour de France bicycle onto a mountain trail. And it's like, why won't you take your Tour de France and come along with us? It's going to be so much fun. We do it all the time. And it's like, no, I'm going to be completely broken when I come back, and then it's going to take forever to rebuild. Anyways. Hello, beautiful. How are you doing today? Today I have questions. I have the 5 worst questions you can ask an HSP. I'm sure there are plenty of others, but I'm going to go through my top 5 for today. You see, I found a nice little stand to show off my new book, A Splendid Mess. Talk about it a little bit later, but you can still take a note and look for it on Amazon. It's available. So as HSPs, we know that we're different, we don't fit in. There's always been a lot of judgment and self-doubt that comes with this. And here is the first question, that is number 5, worst question that somebody can ask us. And that is, why are you so emotional all the time? Already, there's always this tone, right? The tone that seems to say that there's a problem, that we're the problem, and there's kind of something that is not normal with the way we are emotional. When you think about it, though, it's a little bit like asking somebody, why are you so short? Or why are your eyes blue? So annoying. Or why do you sleep every night? It's how we're designed. It's in our structure. It's not something we picked. We were born that way. And when somebody asks that question, it dismisses our true nature, which is a natural sensitivity, and it implies that it's a fault. So when somebody asks, why are you so emotional? I was born this way. Number 2. Any variation of, can't you just toughen up a little? That implies that we should be able to change who we are. It's really hard to hear because as if it was part of our will and a choice that we are more sensitive than others. We have heard that our entire life. And we have tried to suppress how we feel. We have tried to ignore our emotion. We have beaten ourselves up saying, oh, I'm so not normal. What's wrong with me that my emotions are so deep and I can't just like have barriers and walls and just not let things get to me. We learned to kind of pretend, and when you dig into it, I'm still learning about that. What's called, I think, the high masking, just all this conditioning, self-conditioning of pretending to feel what is the norm of feeling. And the norm is just not as a normal, simply because the majority, the 80% of the world, feel at a certain depth. But when we have done that all our lives, it is not healthy. Not only does it prevent us from honoring who we are, discovering who we are, but it is also a slippery slope to disease. Because when we suppress our true feelings, when we depress everything down, then our immune system gets suppressed. And then diseases and chronic diseases and things that we are predisposed to having are free to just take root in us. And in a way, as much as other people that feel at a certain depth and they can toughen up to kind of raise a little bit the bar at which they are affected, we actually do that as well. But it's just that our depth of where we feel is so deep that even when we adapt or toughen up, we only do it to here compared to others that feel here and can toughen up to there. So it's not that we are incapable, it's that we are doing it on a different scale. Number 3, why do you need so much time alone? What's implied is that we are difficult, that we are so complicated, and that in a way all this time that we need by ourselves is selfish or self-absorbed. And it could not be less true. I've mentioned this in other videos. I made that analogy. The comparison that most people, 80%, are four-wheelers. They're all-terrain vehicles, and they can just go and continue going, and on one trail, on the next, you're ready to go again. Yes, yes, yes. We are more like Formula Ones. We need more time adjusting and tweaking and regulating our engines, and that means that we need more time in the garage. And it is absurd to blame a vehicle, a person, for not being able to do what another one can do that were designed for a different purpose. It's a little bit like blaming somebody who says they can't take their Tour de France bicycle onto a mountain trail. And it's like, why won't you take your Tour de France and come along with us? It's going to be so much fun. We do it all the time. And it's like, no, I'm going to be completely broken when I come back, and then it's going to take forever to rebuild. Anyways, I was doing a countdown. So number 2, but it's like number 4. Number 4 of the worst question that somebody can ask us is, can't you just let it go? I really don't like this one. Again, as if it was something that we could just do. And I think once again, it's a question of scale. We can let go from the depth of our processing of emotions and information that we do. This whole idea of mind over matter, yes, we can do it too, just not the way other people expect and not as quickly as other people do. Because, again, we feel and process and receive so much more information, everything we feel matters. We can't kind of just put some aside, put this aside, just let go of this one, let go of this one. Everything needs to be processed and is processed in us. It's not even a choice. That's just how it goes. I have kind of a negative looking, if you have imagination, example to explain the difference of what happens in us when there's an event, a circumstance, or whatever that happens. It's like most of the people, if something happens, like I just said, the way it affects them is like light scratch on their arm. And it's like, can you let this go? Just give me a second. It's kind of stinging a little bit. And yeah, okay, it's gone. I can let it go. But for us, the same event is like a deep knife gash that goes all the way to the bone. And so can we just let it go? Well, give me a minute here. There's a lot to feel. There's a lot of reconnection that needs to happen. And I kind of need to process what's going on and give time to my cells to fix everything. And I'll be back, and then I'll be able to let it go. It's just on a different depth that requires more time and more processing. The one that I've decided to name as the number 1 worst question that somebody can ask a highly sensitive person And I would love to know if that resonates with you, if any of the previous one resonate with you, and if you're like, oh yeah, like I get that. But this is one that seems very innocuous, like there shouldn't even be an issue with it. And here's the question: how are you? When somebody asks me that, it's like my brain just like fires on all pistons. It starts thinking, oh my God, what do they really want to know? What is appropriate to say? This morning I was feeling bad, but now I'm better. So what do I say? What did they actually mean when they asked, how are you? Did they really want to know how I was? Maybe not. But if I just answer, I'm good, how are you? Then I feel like a fake. So should I give that answer or should I not give that answer? What do I pick? What did they want to know? So I don't know. It's like when I cross borders and the border patrol asks me, what do you do? It's kind of the same deer in the headlight kind of thing that I never know what to answer. What does your brain do? Your magnificent super brain that thinks like, whew, like all these thoughts at the same time with one benign question. What is your inner process when somebody asks you that? I'm sure there's a bunch of different answers, but I'm just wondering what they are for other HSPs. So these are my 5 top worst questions that I wanted to bring up this morning. Is it morning? Who knows for you? And in conclusion, if you are not an HSP, but you interact or you have a loved one that is an HSP, be aware that questions that seem like nothing to you can be very profound and disturbing for the HSP. If you care about that person, try not to ask in an accusatory way, in a way that makes the other person feel like something is wrong with them. Try to approach the difference with curiosity. Imagine, for people who like cars, you're going to a showroom and there's a new car and you look at it, you're like, what does this button do? What is that for? How does that feel on the road? Interesting. Try to approach HSPs that way. And if you're a HSP, me bringing up these questions this morning is mostly to just let you know you're not alone. Also to accept that these questions will come up and trigger something in us. But don't accept the blame or the making you feel like something's not quite right because you are different. You know, one of the first steps for us is getting to know ourselves. And then it's not accepting to be made to feel bad about who we are. And we have to do that for our own sake, for the quality of the life we live, for the way we want to show up in the world. You know, once we learn to know ourselves and not take blame, we're creating free real estate in our mind. And then we can move into the world discovering what else our wonderful, different vehicle and mind can do. So let's make sure that we keep that awareness so that we can live a better life and bring our light and our joy to the world. You must have noticed that I had this little stand for my book. Once again, I forgot to talk about it during the video, but my book is Splendid Mess, Chronicles of a Practically Enlightened Misfit. You can find it on Amazon. It's a memoir. It could have been called Memoirs of a Highly Sensitive Woman. It is a bunch of stories and reflections that will help you see that there's nothing wrong with you and that we're in this together. And also in the video description, I have a link where you can download the first several chapters of the book for free. And you can take a read, and if you decide that it's for you, well, then you can go and purchase it on Amazon or other retailers online. So don't forget to comment. Tell me how you felt when you heard some of the questions that I asked, and I will see you next week. I love you. I'm going to try to post a couple shorts this week too.